sound was supposed to be another huge gain here. I was under the impression that the 2 was going to blow away the 1, and it just really... Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Audio Inside Scoop. Today we're going to start comparing the generational gap between the latest Marshall portables and their predecessors. Not gonna lie guys, I am super excited about this as Marshall was already pretty high up there on my list of portables for me, and I figured this new iteration would be coming soon, and I'd been kind of waiting to see what they were going to do and how they were going to take it one step farther and improve what is already an awesome lineup. Also, as promised, we did hit 500 subscribers between this video and the last video, so it's time for a giveaway, guys. So stay tuned to the end of this video to see if you are a lucky winner of that Klipsch Austin. Now, we're gonna start here with the Willen, and then next week we're gonna dive into the Emberton. So that's the Willen 1 versus Willen 2 and the Emberton 2 versus Emberton 3. I'll also do Here With Me segments following both of the review style segments, so you guys will be able to kind of listen along as well, so stay tuned for those guys. Now, I already have the first gen out of the box. Let's break out the second gen and see what we're working with here. All right, here we have our charging cable. This is a USB-C, and it is USB-C on both sides, so you'll need a charger that can accommodate that. Here we have our Willen portable speaker quick start guide, and then we have our legal and safety information. Here is our Marshall Willen portable speaker. USB-C input. Back strap there, side view, here's the bottom, and here is the new top that has been altered slightly since the previous generation. Marshall Willen. Okay, we are out of the box, and at first glance, they look almost identical. Now, I wasn't expecting a complete ground up redesign, but I also wasn't expecting to be able to spin around a few times and forget which one is which. So that's kind of interesting. I forgot which generation was which even when I was holding them in my hand side by side. Now, first thing that I notice is the buttons. So this revamp has added a dedicated power button as opposed to having the power button be on the joystick on the first generation. Now, they have also changed to a horizontal versus a vertical look as far as the battery. Next, there is a little bit of a lip to help protect the front grille. This is nice, I suppose, but technically the grille is already a protection component, so I'm not really opposed to it all, and it's not an issue, it's just something that I noticed there. One thing I also noticed is that the logo looks a bit different. It almost looks a bit cheaper. It's not as glossy, it's not as kind of extended as previous generation. I do like the logo on this one a little bit better, but again, we're kind of getting into the nitpicky details here. Appearance out of the way, let's talk about specs now. I think, or at least I hope, this is where we're gonna see some change. Hoping that Gen 2 wasn't just a new iteration for retooling or just a quick facelift, but we'll see. First, let's talk about price, as it's gonna play a huge factor in making your purchase decision between the first gen and the second gen. With the generational gap like this, you almost always see that the earlier model does go on sale, and you wonder, should I get the older gen for a steep discount, or should I get the latest and greatest for a bit more? Well, we'll come back to whether you should purchase Gen 1 or Gen 2 a little bit later when we're more informed on what the upgrade entails, but for now let's just tell you what those prices are. The new gen adopted the previous gen's regular MSRP of $120 USD, which pushed the older gen on sale, and I see the price trending, or at least at the time of making this video, at $94 on the manufacturer's website. So a difference of $26 saved if you purchase the older gen model. Now, as for size and weight, we do have the new gen coming in at 3.96 inches by 3.96 inches by 1.71 inches. And the older gen is coming in at 4 inches by 3.96 inches by 1.59 inches. We also have a very slight weight difference, with the new version showing 0.79 pounds when compared to the older generation's 0.68 pounds. So, as far as size and weight, we have a very slight difference here. Honestly, if I hadn't read it on paper, it's negligible enough to where I would not have noticed a difference. Actually, I read it on paper and I still don't notice a difference. So yeah, very small difference between weight and size here. pretty much the exact same. Now, next we're going to talk about frequency range, and this one is huge. The original Willen dropped down to 100 Hertz, which is pretty respectable for this size speaker. On paper, the new gen kills it, dropping down to 75 Hertz. And for frame of reference, jumping back to a previous video, this is where the Klipsch Austin actually took a pretty big win over the original Willen here, having the ability to dig significantly lower. With this new generation, I may have to break back out the Austin again and have a round 2. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if this is something you guys would like to see in a future episode. Now, before we jump into the next category, I did do a bit of digging to see where the new version gets its extra oomph. What I found I wanted to share with you guys, so take a look here. Now, the newer gen is showing a 2-inch full range driver and 2 passive radiators, and while we don't see this listed on this particular sheet, this is the exact same as a previous gen. I can't confirm or deny if it's the exact same driver, but it is the same size. Where I see the huge difference is the amplification. Check this out. We are showing a 10 watt Class D amp on the first gen and a 38 watt Class D amp in the second generation. With some retuning and so forth, I imagine this is where we are getting that extra boost in performance. Not only are we showing the ability to dig a bit deeper, but we're also showing a 6 dB boost in our quoted SPL. So now I'm even more excited to dump into the listenings and see what this new generation can do. Next, let's talk about battery. Previous generation had a 15 plus hour of playback time listed. The new gen shows 17 plus hours playback, and I'm also seeing a drop in the charge time with the version 2 taking just 2.5 hours to fully charge compared to the previous gen's 3 hours. Quick charging has also seen an improvement with 20-minute charging providing 5.5 hours of playback compared to the previous gen's 3 hours. So all around some significant improvement in battery as well, but the old one was no slouch in that department to begin with. Next, let's move into Bluetooth and another jump back into the Willen versus Austin video. You guys may remember when I said Marshall's not going to be at fault here for being slightly behind in this category, as the Willen is a couple years old at this point. I imagine when the next generation comes out, it will utilize whatever the latest Bluetooth chip is at that time. Well, here we are, new gen. Latest version of Bluetooth. Older Willen is using Bluetooth 5.1 and the new version is rocking the Bluetooth 5.3, and not only is this an upgrade for transmission and distance as well as quality, this is also going to integrate LE audio and Auracast capabilities. This is pretty much where all speakers are going, guys. You'll notice that the Marshall website there is no longer a mention of stack mode or connect mode or any of that. That's not because the capability to connect speakers is going away, it's because it is getting better. This is, in theory, of course, going to be a game changer for multicasting. Now, I say in theory because I haven't personally tested it, but I can assure you that will very soon change. All right, so that is all I have based on readings and spec research. Is it worth it to upgrade from the previous gen? Or if you don't have either and are looking to buy, is it worth the extra premium to have the latest model? Well, I've only researched so far. The true test has yet to come. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out and do some testings, and I will be back with you guys shortly with my thoughts. See you soon. Okay, so that was crazy interesting of an experience, to say the least. It honestly didn't at all go in any way the way that I thought it would. It's actually been about 5 days testing with these guys. It was a bit more intense than I had anticipated, so let's talk. So here's where I usually throw up a chart and deep dive into our 4 usual categories of price, lifestyle, connectivity, and sound. I'm still going to go ahead and do this, but I'm going to gloss over the first 2 categories a bit and focus on the others, as I pretty well covered the others before I left. Price is obviously going to the older gen. New gen releases, older gen has a price drop. If you're looking to spend the least and still get great sound, the old gen has you covered by about $26 currently. Possibly more if you shop around, and there will probably be even more of a price gap the longer you wait. Now, lifestyle is going to be a tie. Roughly the same size as far as dimensions and weight goes. The colors available are virtually the same. Same look and feel for the most part. Gen 1 is very sturdy, and that has not changed for Gen 2. So we're gonna call this one a tie. Now, as for connectivity, Bluetooth I thought would be a huge difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and honestly I still think it may be in the future, but I may have jumped the gun just a bit here. With minimal info online about this and being fairly new tech, I thought I would learn by experimenting. I only have one other speaker that is supposedly LE audio ready at the moment, and that's the JBL Clip. At this moment, I was unable to get the speakers to link, so it seems like they may be still brand specific and kind of locking us out, or we're waiting on a firmware update. That said, all JBL specs and verbiage discusses interconnecting JBL products only, whereas Marshall Online just says that it's LE Audio Auracast ready. It could be that the Marshall functions and works, but the JBL does not. As soon as I get another LE Audio or Auracast capable speaker, I will be able to confirm this. I'll also be unboxing and comparing the latest Emberton to the last gen Emberton shortly, and the newest model does have this new version of Bluetooth. I'll test to make sure that these models do function together, but that's not really going to tell us definitively if this is doable, as Marshall to Marshall better work. It better be functional. I promise though guys, I will get to the bottom of this and share my findings as soon as possible, because trust me, I am as excited about this new tech as you guys are. Now that mention kind of brings me to my next topic, or I guess my next complication really. I cannot get these two models to connect together through the old style stack mode either. So not only are we not linking with other branded speakers through Auracast at the moment, but we can't connect our old Marshalls to our new Marshalls. So while we are introducing this awesome new tech into the latest model, theoretically in the future, which will be awesome, we aren't really seeing the fruits of this at all just yet. Now, I am hopeful that at least this gen will connect with itself. So maybe two Willen 2s can connect together, maybe two Emberton 3s can connect together, or maybe the Emberton 3 can connect with the Willen 2, but we'll have to wait for our Emberton episode to dive into that, because that guy is still in the box. Check out that episode as soon as it's released though, guys, because you can bet I will be testing that for sure. I'm super excited about this new tech, and I am super excited about where it will take us into the future. If you haven't already, check out what this technology is doing for hearing aids and other similar fields. Some of the information that's being released on this new technology is super cool. You should check it out and definitely dive down that rabbit hole. I think we're just kind of in a transitional phase right now, so it's going to be hit or miss on what works and what doesn't, and what interconnects and what doesn't at the moment. So hopefully in the future that will widen and improve as well. So all of that said, I'm still going to give the win to the new version, as it is a later gen Bluetooth, better quality of the connection, better transmission range, and so forth. But honestly, I was expecting a landslide win here though, and I was a little bit let down. But again, Willen 2 still takes it, but not by as much of a landslide as I had expected. Now, sound. Sound was supposed to be another huge gain here. I mentioned before here that the new gen dips all the way down to 75 Hz over the Gen 1's 100 Hz. And that is a pretty insane difference for keeping the same form factor and everything. I was psyched to get into some testing and also to see how hard this new design and this new amp would push this product. Starting here with our pink noise test at full volume from about a foot away, we see we get a bit of a boost in overall volume. Not night and day, but definitely noticeable difference. I'll actually play some of the audio here for you as well. You can hear some of the difference through the speakers and just through the recorded on-camera mic. Now, on to real music and real listenings. I took these everywhere, and like I said, I was at it for several days. Some indoor listening starting here, some walking around with them on the backpack straps, our usual four-wheeler rides, but as our last Willen test proved we couldn't hear them much while riding, I tried updating the location of the mount this time. I tried a couple different locations here. This helped, but as expected, still a no-go for this type of situation if you're going over 10 to 15 miles per hour. Some wide open nature, some at a distance while doing some outdoor chores, big rooms, small rooms, some centered up in the room to minimize that additional gain from keeping them close to the wall, sometimes against the wall to get that bass thumping a bit more. After all that testing, I was legit surprised what I had found. I was under the impression that the 2 was going to blow away the 1, and it didn't. While I did see it take majority of the tracks for me, I expected it to be 100%, but actually I preferred the 1 in some scenarios, and it was about a 70-30 split. Basically what I was seeing throughout was that while the 2 did get a significant boost in bass, which it was definitely welcome as the 1 was pretty thin at times, it did lose a ton of clarity in the high frequencies. Going back and forth, I did miss the vocal clarity a lot in the second generation. That said, the sound was more full. I did get an improved soundstage in the second. I did get that reproduction at low frequencies, whereas in the 1, sometimes you're just missing certain aspects of the song due to the inability to dig a little bit lower. I did also find that most of the time I leaned in the direction of the 2, but I wish there was a middle ground somewhere there. I was a little bit disappointed, like I said, in the high frequency reproduction of the 2, and wish that we just had a little bit more clarity on that. So Here's where I did something I don't normally do. I typically leave these fully stock throughout my testing. As said before, and I'll say it again, most people buying these are not going to touch the EQ. They're just going to connect and forget. That said, I figured if a boost in the highs would get us to the perfect middle ground, I can't call this video complete without at least testing the EQ option out. So I opened up the app and I started tinkering. Best option, in my opinion, fairly universally was the push mode, which says that it gives it a boost in both bass and treble. I wish we had a 3-band EQ to customize it a little bit more, but we're kind of stuck working with what we have, and that's just 3 different preset equalizer modes. This mode did get us a little closer to what I was hoping for, but again, still not everything I was hoping for. So all in all, similar to the Bluetooth category, the 2 is going to be the winner here, but I did expect a much bigger gap here based on what I read in the specs, and it only won by a bit. Now, I will admit this is a difficult feat, and I don't want to downplay that at all. Fairly universally, a speaker of this size has to go with a full range driver as opposed to multiple drivers, and it's difficult to get the clarity across all bands. That said, I feel like Marshall may have gone too far in pushing to dig those lows. Perhaps we could have found a happier medium, tuning it differently and dropping down to maybe 85 Hertz or something and still retaining a little bit better highs. I don't know. Maybe the bass heavy option is what most of you guys prefer, and maybe I'm the outcast. Who knows? If you have purchased one of these and you've compared the 2 side by side, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think, because I want to get you guys' opinions as well. So guys, in synopsis, is it worth the additional extra bit of budget if you are deciding between the 2? Despite the fact that it looks super similar, have enough changes been made in the tech to consider an upgrade if you already have a Gen 1? My answer, or what would I do in these scenarios, is this. If you already have a Gen 1, I'd keep it a bit longer, to be quite honest. Maybe wait for the world to catch up technology-wise to make the Bluetooth capabilities of the Gen 2 more useful. Or if you're wanting a second one for stack mode, go with the Gen 1, as you can't connect the 1s and 2s, at least as far as I've found. If you don't have anything and you're looking to buy a standalone piece or to buy multiple, I would say go with the new one, as it'll be more future-proof. And in the future, I really do think we're going to see some firmware updates, making it a lot more usable and a lot more interconnectable with your other items in your home, and just a lot more advanced overall. Also, you throw in the new amp, the extended frequency range, the boost in the overall power and performance, the better battery life, the shorter charge times. That would be enough to push me over the edge and to recommend going with the 2. I just wish it did have a little bit better push in the high frequency department, but that may just be me. Let me know your thoughts below. As per usual, following this episode, we are going to have a Here With Me segment. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar with that, that kind of allows you guys to listen to these side by side and hear the results to a degree for yourselves through my microphone, through your computer, through your phone, whatever. And then we have a new Emberton that is just released as well. So if it's anything like this compare, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. So hit that like and subscribe button below. You're not going to want to miss a single episode coming up, because they are all going to be super useful and super fun. I anticipate a whole bunch of awesome coming your way very shortly, and I'm excited to see where these new models take us. Also, leave a comment below to let me know what speakers you'd like to see rematches for now that the new generation has been released. Do you want to see the Willen go up against the Klipsch Austin again? Do you want to see it go up against the Clip? Let me know your thoughts below. Now, one more bit of housekeeping before we close out for today, guys. I made a promise, and I do intend to keep it. We just hit one of our first milestones of 500 subscribers. Thank you, guys. And I said I would give away a Klipsch Austin, this Klipsch Austin, when this happened. Well, let's go, guys. I'm gonna flip around in my chair here. We are going to open up a random name picker. I'm going to start our screen record so that I could show you guys the actual screen being recorded as well. And we are going to paste in our names. And go ahead and enable our 3-step randomness process certification, and we will, drum roll please, let's go! All right, our winner is YouTube handle name Trong2. You are the winner of our Klipsch Austin. Congratulations to Trong2. I'm gonna reply to your comment on the original video, and I will send you an email with more info. Congrats to our winner. You are getting our Klipsch Austin, and I'm gonna need to order a new one so that I have something to compare the new generation of Willen to. And with the contest closed, it's time to go ahead and close out this video as well. As always, I'll be doing a Here With Me segment later on these guys, so check that out as well. That'll release probably next week. Following that, we will dive into the Emberton compares, and here with me is on those as well. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below to be the first to know when all of those release. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you again soon for another episode of Audio Inside Scoop.